I'd like to welcome to the show today, Jay Pollman.
Thanks
Thank
for having
you,
me.
Jay, for coming on to the show.
No problem. Great to
And
be here.
congratulations on the new album.
Thank you.
Head in the Clouds. It's doing well. You've been
great.
touring it and
Yep. Yeah, I've been
getting
playing
a very
it.
good reception.
Yeah, it's a great response, great reviews from it. Kind of, it's humbling to hear that. I've had some reviews in the past, but nothing to this level because we really pushed that side of it this time around. And with it being my first solo release, tried to make a splash per se with it. So, really wanted to hear people's reaction, and there was a bit of anticipation with the release of it, you know, around fellow musicians and people that do follow what I do with my music. So it was exciting. It's doing really well. Kind of just getting over the hump of now it's released, and now it's like, okay, what do I do now with it? Like, I want to keep pushing it, but you know, got to be smart about it as well at the same time. So.
Now you said this album, the writing of this album was a lot about you finding yourself as a solo artist and a songwriter. So tell me a little bit about that journey of getting to that point. Yeah,
it takes time, and you know, some people can write great songs, you know, right out of the bat when they're in their early 20s per se, and it takes a lot of time sometimes to really develop that craft. And I feel like I'm finally getting to where I always wanted to be as a songwriter. And it's always going to be that. I'm always going to strive to write great songs. That's what I'm kind of trying to do, great songs. I'm not trying to, you know, write really poppy songs that will be a hit that people will, you know, take off or something. I'm writing what kind of I want to write, what I want to hear, the records I like. I want, you know, to have my records do that for somebody else and give them the feels, I guess, you know, the songs that give you the feels that move you. So if you can write something like that, I'm happy with that.
Now you played for a long time in a rock band, right? Yep. And then in 2013, you decided to not only switch from being part of a band to solo, but then you also kind of switched genres, I guess, as well.
Yeah, in a way. I've had some really interesting comments how some people will say it's that still just without the band behind me, but kind of disagree because it has, like, we were a little blues rocky. I played in the band called Groove. We did that for over 10 years, so that's where you develop all your skills and learn about the industry a bit and get the touring bug out of the way and realize how hard that is and what that is like, and you know how difficult it is to kind of make a splash in the music industry. So through learning through that, it set me up really well to release my first solo record. So
so why'd you want to go solo?
Change of pace. And it was, you know, we were a three-piece before, but even as three-piece, a lot of decisions to be made. And I mean, like, everybody's in different spots in their life, so there's a lot going on to kind of always be on the same page and stuff. And it was refreshing. I started to, when we decided to end the band, we went out with a bang and we released our final release and a farewell show at the same time, which was a lot of fun. And from there, it was like, okay, what do I do now? I'd already had, you know, batches of songs written, waiting to do something with them. And I started playing kind of cover shows around, like a lot of artists, you know, kind of have to do to you know, keep the funds rolling in. And you know, playing other people's songs in the corner of a bar. Everybody's watching the TVs right behind you sometimes, and I was like, this isn't me. I can't do this forever. I don't want to be that guy. So I would much rather play a little bit less, but play my own music for hopefully an appreciative crowd. So made that transition. Actually, the weekend before I went to the studio to record this, I played a cover show. Like, I did play my own as well, my own songs as well during the set, but I mean, it was just one of those where it was like nobody's paying attention and it doesn't even matter if I'm here. And I was like, done, I'm not doing these anymore. I'm gonna play my own shows and my own music. So that was kind of the final, you know, nail in the coffin for that to switch over. So yeah, that's the way it kind of developed in. And sound-wise, I've always kind of had that blues influence in there. I wouldn't call it necessarily blues. That's why I call it foot stomping rootsy blues. So it gives me a little room to, you know, try some things out without being like he straight away and now, you know, he's a totally different artist, that kind of thing. But I also really love when guys do that. They do something totally unexpected, as long as the songs are great still. And I like that rather than regurgitating the same thing over and over again. Sun's in my eyes, cutting through that brilliant sky. But there ain't no guarantee. I can see the light splitting up that concrete mile. Well, I'm steering with my knees. Sun sinking low, dropping in that dark blue sky. Still got somewhere else to go. That high road, only one way to know. I'm steering with my knees. Well, I'm chasing the light, driving west on Highway 3, on the flatlands of Ontario. 7,000 miles on 20 tanks of fuel. Only got 6 more hours to go. Those fans standing high, spinning backwards in the sky. Oh, as far as the eye can see, well, that high road, only one way to know. I'm steering with my knees. These statues in the sky, longer turning gray and longer burning black, and I ain't never coming back. That high road, only one way to know. Well, I'm steering with my knees. That high road, only one way to know. Well, I'm steering with my knees. That high road, only one way to know. Well, I'm steering with my knees. That high road, only one way to know. Well, I'm steering with my knees. Ooh.
Now, this album, you recorded this album in a week, right?
Yeah, 3 days actually.
Less than a week, 3 days.
That was the budget, so 3 days. Yeah.
So you had to be efficient.
Yeah, definitely.
3 days.
Yeah.
What was that like? Ram this out in 3 days.
Well, I've kind
especially because you were working with Aaron Goldstein.
Yeah,
too, right?
yeah. I've been accustomed to doing that with my old band Groove. Again, the same thing. Time constraints. It comes back to the budget, what you can afford, how long you can be in the studio for. If you're paying per hour, per day, that's up fast. So you got to know what you're doing when you get in there. So always in the past, I had done records where it was like, basically every single note you're going to play. And we always track live off the floor, so it gives it kind of that live, warm feel to it. And so I was used to getting things done quickly. It was a little bit different this time around where Aaron likes to make the magic happen in the studio. Like, let's not plan everything out. Let's throw this in there and see where it goes. So,
but Aaron, I only have 3 days.
Oh yeah. So that part of the thing was I wanted to do a full LP I had upwards of 15 songs written, and it was like we're going to take the best batch of them. We sat down, Aaron and I, and figured out which ones we're going to do. We're the strongest, and do those first. See what we have left over to work with. But we wanted to really focus on each one of those and make them the best they could be. So, I think 2 weeks before we went into the studio. we brought up the fact to bring in some session players to play on a couple of the tracks. And so it was kind of like, well, are we going to rehearse beforehand? Like, there's not much time left here. And he said, no, we're just going to bring them in. And so I never met Anna Ruddick and Derek Downham. They both came in and played on a couple songs. And then my brother Eric played on several songs too. And Aaron played all over the record too. So the experience was, we did 2 songs the first day, myself and Anna and Derek. And it was, here's the songs, let's learn them. They had never even heard them until we were in the studio. So I've never done that before. And let's do a few takes. And by, the 5th take, it was really, really happening, because there's some serious players. So I had to elevate my game as well. And it was an honor to be in the room and for myself, make my songs like really powerful and come to life. Like, that's something I won't forget, that's for sure. So though the 2 songs I did play on, Head in the Clouds, the title track, and I'm Not Crazy, but I'm Close Second. And some of my favorites on there still, because it brings me back to being in the studio and getting the chills, listening to it back in the, through the monitors. It's exciting to do it that way. It's kind of like, I'm nervous to see what if that magic didn't happen? Mm-hmm. And, you can't just scrap that and try it over. We only had 3 days. So that was the way we went about it. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out, absolutely.
And what sound did Aaron bring or influence in this particular album?
He brings across a bit of he's a pedal steel player. So he brings across a bit of a country vibe, but he likes to really, uncork it and let it rip sometimes. So we did a lot of that slide blues. Wasn't a focus. Like, we didn't sit down and it was like we're making a blues record, sort of. Like, it's not a full-on blues record, but I mean, I guess that's what it is. So, we never really said it's going to sound like this or anything. And he just brought a level of professionalism, and also had Kenny Meehan on the controls, the engineer, and working his magic too. And he's been doing some of my favorite records right now. And he works with a guy named Dana Romano, which we actually saw last night in Toronto. And he gets a very kind of vintagey. We did also to tape, so it gave it that warm feel. We did live off the floor again too, so gave it a bit of a retro live feel to it, which I love that on any record. A lot of my favorite records are done that way. Mm-hmm, yeah, the way they used to be done, right?
Your nickname, Sawdust J.
Sawdusty J, yeah.
Where did that come from?
Blues players need nicknames like that, right? So I think all the
Who gave it to you?
I think all the Slims were taken, so I should give it to myself. I needed to. Nobody was giving me one, so I had to do it myself. So I kind of was throwing it out there, and had a couple band names too. Maybe down the road I'll use with that title. But we started joking around, friends of mine and stuff, and it's kind of started sticking. So a friend of mine drew up a logo for me, and it's too late now. We got to roll with it now. So
now it's plastered everywhere.
Yeah. It's on the stickers, on the kick drums. So yeah, as well. So.
Did you grow up in a musical family?
I did, yeah. My dad played in bands, so yeah. They used to rehearse in the basement, so as a kid I'd fall asleep listening to the band play, and I wanted to do that too. It was cool, right? Rock and roll music. He played in a rock and roll band, so they just did covers and stuff like that, but obviously made me want to play. Mm-hmm. And the instruments were down there. Like when he had his drummers come to rehearse, they would leave their drum kit there. Well, of course we're going to play them. They're down in the basement, so yeah, that's what sparked the interest. And then you find mutual friends growing up that music's kind of life for a while there, and got to the point where I wanted to take it a little bit more seriously once I was out of high school. Mm-hmm. And play shows. And I remember one of the big goals was to play Hamilton, because I'm from Cayuga. It's a small town of 2,000 or 3,000 people back when I grew up there.
Go to the big city of Hamilton.
Just to play in Hamilton. It was a big deal. So we'd get a Thursday night at the Corktown Tavern or something like that, and that was a huge deal to us. And then
still a popular venue.
Yeah, it's still there. It's been there for a very long time. And then it was the next step. I want to play the better venue in town, or now let's branch out and play other cities, and then next goal is festivals, and then let's tour. So we did a lot of great stuff with that band, and it kind of paves the way for continuing to do it. And that's another thing. A lot of players I know, and I've had people tell me before that have been around forever, say like everybody else kind of quits if you hang in there and plug away. Not all of us can do it, but good things happen, and those great gigs will come, and those songs will come, and it's really exciting when they do come out, actually.
Mm-hmm. What's the last song you're going to play for us today?
Loose Lips Sink Ships.
And tell us a little bit about that song.
That one, I want to do that one today too. It kind of changed. It's on the record. It's me and my guitar, one take. We set up my dobro guitar down in the booth. The guys were upstairs, and we recorded it. And I came up, and I was like, "What do you guys think?" And they're like, "I thought I wanted to do another one." And they were like, "Listen to this, and you decide. We think it's great." So we listened to it. I was like, "Okay, there's another one done." That was quick. So we kept that one. The song's kind of about. I had that term for a very long time. I was saving loose lips, sink ships for something good. I needed to use it somewhere. So it's about the challenges you go through. Everybody has, the challenges in life where, relationships break, whether it's between, like a relationship with somebody or bandmates or friends. Everybody goes through that transition where, things happen and you blame somebody. And so it's kind of riddled with all different metaphors in there, phrases I've jotted down and mashed them all together to kind of come up with that.
It can move a mountain, shake the ground and make them drop their leaves. Storytelling, telling stories is kinda getting old tonight. Well, keep the heat on. The pilot light will keep us warm all night. Red sky at night means the sailor's gonna fight tonight. Ooh. Pushing through the crowd, playing for a room full of empty people now, tonight. Ship's going down now. Should you swim or should you stay on board? Loose lips will sink ships forevermore, forevermore.
If you want to hear more great Canadian blues acts, go to bluestribe.ca.